my concept of the emergency state is a little different from some of the books that have been written before. It's not just the imperial presidency. It's not just the national security state. It's not just to choose titles of the past, invisible government, permanent warfare economy. It's all of those things, but it recognizes that driven by the unassailable argument of national security, because nothing sells in politics like fear. Next time a mushroom cloud, right? You know, how do we know? Got to be safe. Trust us. Missiles coming, 20 minutes. It will sell almost everything. It sold a lot of bad things. And at this moment, when we live in a dangerous world, a very dangerous world, but not the kind of dangerous world where we have to step away from the Constitution because the ICBMs are coming in 20 minutes. I mean, look at our undeclared wars. Look at all of them. Look at Korea. Look at Vietnam. Look at the Persian Gulf 1 and 2. Look at Afghanistan. Was there a single one of them where there wasn't time to debate it? No, there were weeks, months of debates in the newspapers. There were these sort of phony congressional resolutions that didn't meet the congressional test of a war declaration. And then we had presidential wars. Why can't we look at the world, honestly say, yes, we're the richest country in human history. No, we don't want to pay 100% of that income in taxes. No, yes, we're the strongest military power in human history with global reach. No, we can't do everything. In fact, as Andrew Bacevich says, we don't do very well at the wars we've been fighting, these undeclared wars. In a strictly military sense, you wouldn't think that we are the world's, that half the military spending in the world is going to produce this US military, which is coming up with stalemates or worse in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. Perhaps because we're spending that money to fight tank battles, aerial dogfights. We're spending a lot of money not on the weapons needed in the war. Gates was good on that, but he wasn't good on zeroing out the other weapons, okay? That let's think about it. Let's think about how one of the world's oldest democracies, with one of the best democratic constitutions, with 170 years of good practice in being a constitutional democracy, with wealth and military power that is the envy of other countries, can look at the world honestly, and instead of boastfully, as in the Republican campaign debates, and sadly, as we will see in the November election from both parties, boasting about, we never apologize for anything except burning Korans at Bagram. That's okay, that's allowed. But that instead of this braggadocio and not exposing anything to a soundbite, ask the fundamental question a democratic society should do. How do we use our power and wealth to make ourselves safer, to make the world a better place, to do something about the inequalities that the Millennium Development Goals point to, which could be addressed effectively for 1/10 the price of what we spend on overarming ourselves, to do something about climate change, but most of all, starting point of it all, to revitalize our constitutional democracy, because a functioning democracy can do a lot of things in the world and not have to be frustrated about its foreign policy and disillusioned with its politics. We're not a direct democracy. We're not the Athenian Assembly. We can't all come out here and for breakfast every day and have votes. We're not Occupy Wall Street. We're a representative democracy. We've got 300 million people. We've got a lot of territory. We can't be anything else. A representative democracy has to work by those representatives feeling their voters. If there's one thing that every member of the House and Senate has in common, of whatever party, it's that their prime goal is to be reelected, right? And there are two tests to being reelected. There's your voters and your donors, right? And if the voters are disgusted, disillusioned, not present, or uninformed, there's just the donors. And that's what we've seen, all right? And if, as in the 60s and 70s and in other interesting periods of our history, the voters wake up, turn down the TV, flick the remote to mute, read my book, then they can make their representatives be democratic representatives and make the system function. The system, it sounds a little fuddy-duddy, 18th century, archaic, blah, blah, blah. It works. It has worked. It can work today. What doesn't work is the emergency state. After 70 years, we should see that it doesn't work and do something about it.